Has Larian figured out the key to making compelling companions for a companion-based RPG?
Famed, of course, for my unique red skin and unparalleled skills as a general of the House of War, I, the Red Prince, was raised within the vast palaces of the fabled Forbidden City. I was destined to become the next emperor. But my ambitions suffered a bit of a setback when I fell from grace for cavorting with demons. Now, I'm exiled and hunted by assassins. But I assure you, I remain undaunted and as determined as ever to claim my rightful throne.
I would say yes, and I would say they did it before Baldur's Gate 3. It has nothing to do with them creating romance trees for them, no matter how thirsty your average BG3 player is. But that said, there's still a hidden weakness in this formula that I do think we need to talk about. Time and time again, the number one question that comes up when it comes to companion-focused RPGs, from Dragon Age to Baldur's Gate to even more recently, Avowed, the question is, are the companions good? Now, while we could argue for days what makes a companion good, I think in general, the whole idea is, does the companion have depth and meaning, and do they evoke emotions within you? And yes, those emotions can be rage. In games like this, where you build out a party of characters, some of whom you may even directly be playing as, they matter a ton. They are a huge part of the game simply by being so involved in it. You cannot escape them, even the annoying ones.
Still alive, so that's progress. Don't want to draw any attention. Free for the taking.
You damned idiot.
Okay, maybe in some games you can by throwing them off cliffs. Companions need to be deep, compelling, and have their own stories, or they largely feel like a waste of space, just an extra thing that you have to deal with in combat. But crafting that many compelling characters can be difficult, and many RPGs fall flat with it. When I covered Avowed, I talked about how only half of the companions got side quests, and yet those two still felt like the least complete characters of the 4 companions. Turns out, Larian, because of course it's Larian, may have found a cheat code in creating compelling companion characters while also adding new replayability that goes far beyond just branching choices and alternate endings. And they figured it out almost a decade ago with a little game called Divinity Original Sin 2. Origin characters. How do you make every part of your party into fully fleshed out characters? Well, it's simple as shit, apparently. Just make every single one of them a god's damned protagonist. It might be the most Larian thing ever. Create a bunch of companions and make every single one the protagonist of the RPG. For those who may not be aware, origin characters are the same characters you'll find in games as companions, but as an optional playable role that you can take on. You can play as a custom character, or you can play as Beast or Karlach, for that matter, in BG3. What this does is actually a stroke of genius that goes well beyond the few people that will play those origin paths, with more than 94% of BG3 players, for example, choosing the custom path, at least on their first playthrough. I think those stats would be quite different now if you took them versus the first time, but still, most players are going to be going the custom route in RPGs because we're needy and we like choices. A lot of them. Apparently we also like to complain when there's choices too, but that's a whole other video. Creating origin characters that have to hold their own as the protagonist of the story means when Larian is writing these characters, they have to keep that in mind. Every character has to be well-rounded enough to hold and maintain the player's attention as the main meal. They can't slump off or be shit because they're going to get dissected. In essence, it creates extra attention on crafting three-dimensional characters while at the same time giving players more replayability to experience those very stories, characters they grew to care about that they can now play as. But I mentioned one issue with that, right? One glaring blind spot that could lead to this backfiring. It's essentially plot armor. When you turn every companion into a protagonist, it gives them protection against bad endings. It prevents the shock death, the crazy betrayal, the devastating moment when your favorite character dies in a game you're playing that I maybe have been playing recently and maybe my game of the year. I'm still not over it. It limits storytelling avenue for companions to essentially the protagonist because they have to be able to be the protagonist throughout the game. Except
so are you, my friend, my companion. I adore you. Careful, hot. I never gave up. I did my best. I did my best. Oh, it's the one thing I can't beat, isn't it? I wanted to live in my city with my friends. But life is for the living. And I saw... Goodbye, son. Goodbye, sea. Goodbye.
okay, so I guess they kind of figured that one out. Yeah. But I think part of this is the strength in Larian and their willingness to subvert expectations. From bear sex to kicking squirrels to devastating massacres and TPKs from pissing off an old and angry god. Larian showed a special touch when it came to BG3 for being willing to take risks. They took the unconventional and made it conventional. They took the idea of decision making and consequences and really drove it beyond expectations. One could argue there are still some potential limits here though. For example, let's say you have a 3-act story. Well, you can't exactly have a origin character who dies at the end of Act 1 without making, I don't know, major changes to the story so that that actually doesn't happen in the origin character's story. You know what I mean? Gale is actually a really good example of this because you can, well, make Gale blow up, but doing so actually ends the game. It essentially puts an end to everything, including yourself. So you can't go on anymore. There is no more Act 3 in that instance. You just kind of win, I guess, in that point. Those are the limitations I'm talking about. I guess unless like they become like an undead version of themselves in your origin playthrough for 2 acts. That's a thing that Larian would actually do, isn't it?
Oh, don't stare. How would you look after eons in some ghastly crypt? Your people are rather prone to death. Mine are not.
But that's where I want to turn this over to you. Do you think this is a cheat code for making compelling characters, or am I just looking for an excuse to say how much I love Larian? Let me know in the comment section below what you think of the use of origin characters to make a game's companions actually more compelling. And especially I think the big part of this is some of the replayability of getting to experience the game again a second time through the eyes of your companions. Let me know in the comment section below. I appreciate you and I hope you have a wonderful day. My name is Redbeard Flynn and I will see you all later.